Welcome, story lovers, to Yellaw Story Time. Tonight, settle in and let's travel to a magical place called Willowwish Woods, deep inside these ancient woods. There was a river known as the Silversong stream. It was a gentle, shimmering path of water that always whispered soft music as it flowed between the trees. Every animal in the forest, from the tiniest beetle to the great old bear, knew its tune by heart. It was the sound of peace, the sound of home. Until one morning, everything changed. The river began to sing, not whisper, not murmur, but sing. A bright echoing melody that danced through the trees, clear as a bell. At first, the animals thought it was beautiful. The birds paused their own songs to listen. The flowers seemed to turn their heads towards the water. But then the river's song grew louder and louder and louder still. Soon it wasn't just a song. It was a roar of melody that shook the leaves from the branches and made the very ground tremble. High up in an old oak tree, Siggy the squirrel was just about to enjoy his first acorn of the day. The river's booming voice startled him so much that he nearly fell right off his branch. His fluffy tail puffed up in alarm. Scurrying down the trunk, he chattered in panic to his friends, "Rina, Max, Lila, the river's gone wild. You have to hear this." Rina, a gentle deer with kind eyes, trotted over, her movements cautious, but her expression curious. She listened intently, her large ears twitching. "It sounds alive," she whispered, her voice full of wonder as the river's song rippled through the air like 1,000 tiny bells. Max, a clever monkey who was always tinkering with something, slid down from a vine, adjusting a pair of tiny wooden goggles he'd made himself. He leaned closer to the bank, tilting his head. "That melody, it's not just noise," he said thoughtfully. "It's a message. I think someone's calling for help." Lila, a quiet and shy hedgehog, peeked out from behind a mossy rock. She shivered, her quills rattling softly. "It's coming from under the river," she whispered, her small voice barely audible over the powerful song. The four friends exchanged worried glances. They all knew that only one creature lived deep beneath the Silversong stream, the Pearl Guardian. He was a shy, ancient turtle who watched over the glowing pearls that lit the river from below each night, giving it its magical shimmer. Without waiting another moment, the animals knew what they had to do. They hurried downstream, following the sound, heading toward the glowing heart of the river, where the song was the loudest. As they got closer, they saw something astonishing. The water began to swirl in front of them slowly at first, then faster and faster, spiraling into a bright, mesmerizing whirlpool of light and sound. And then, from the very center of the whirlpool, a single glowing pearl rose to the surface. But it wasn't shining brightly like the others. It was cracked, and its light was dimming, pulsing faintly. A tiny, weak voice echoed from the pearl, carried on the water. "Help! The river's magic is fading." Rina gasped, her heart aching for the voice. Siggy, usually so brave, clutched her leg, his eyes wide with fear. Max pushed his goggles up his nose, his mind racing. "What happened?" he asked gently, his voice calm and steady. The pearl flickered weakly in response. "A shadow vine. It has wrapped itself around the pearl guardian. It drains our light, our magic." The friends looked at each other, a new kind of fear creeping in. They had all heard stories of shadow vines. They were dangerous, parasitic plants that grew only in the darkest corners of Willowwish Woods. They fed on magic, on fear, and on silence, growing stronger wherever there was sadness or despair. "We have to save the guardian," Rina declared bravely, her voice clear and strong. Her fear was replaced by a surge of determination. As if it understood her, the river parted before them, creating a clear, dry path down to its bed. It was a silent invitation. They stepped onto the riverbed and found that the glowing water on either side felt warm and seemed to hum with a soft energy like a gentle lullaby. Down they went, deeper and deeper, until they reached the bottom. And there they saw him. The Pearl Guardian, the ancient turtle, was trapped. A thick, twisting black vine pulsed with a dark, shadowy energy, holding him down. The Guardian looked exhausted, his ancient eyes dim. "You've come," he whispered, his voice barely a breath of sound. The shadow vine seemed to sense their presence. It hissed, a sound like dry leaves skittering in the wind, and tightened its grip on the poor turtle. But Max, always the thinker, noticed something peculiar. "It reacts to noise," he whispered, pointing a finger. When the river was singing so loudly earlier, the vine seemed to loosen its grip for a moment. Siggy blinked his big round eyes. "So, we just have to make noise. Like a lot of noise." Rina shook her head softly, a gentle smile on her face. "Not just noise, Siggy," she said. "We need harmony." The river was singing a song of distress. We need to sing a song of hope. And so, standing together on the riverbed, surrounded by the magical waters, the four friends lifted their voices. Rina began with a soothing, low hum, a sound that felt like a warm hug. Siggy joined in, his nervous chittering transforming into a quick, playful melody. Max, ever the rhythmic one, started clapping his hands together, creating a steady, joyful beat, and little Lila, overcoming her shyness, added a soft, high humming tone that wove through the others like a silver thread. Their different sounds blended together, creating a beautiful, powerful harmony. It wasn't loud or chaotic like the river's song had been. It was filled with friendship, courage, and light. As they sang, the river around them began to glow brighter and brighter. The water shimmered with brilliant silver and blue light, pulsing in time with their song. The shadow vine couldn't stand it. The harmony, the light, the pure joy, it was poison to the creature of darkness. It writhed and twisted, trying to escape the beautiful sound. Cracks of light appeared all over its dark surface. And finally, with one last shudder, the shadow vine burst into 1,000 tiny, harmless sparks, which dissolved completely into the water, vanishing as if they had never been. Freed from his prison, the Pearl Guardian slowly rose, the light returning to his wise old eyes. He looked at the four friends, his heart filled with gratitude. "You have restored the Silversong stream," he said, his voice now warm and strong. "And in doing so, you have awakened its true magic." The river began to flow gently once more. Its whisper returned, but now it carried a new note, a beautiful, hidden melodious song of gratitude for its four brave heroes. As the animals climbed out of the water, back onto the soft grass of the riverbank, Siggy shook his wet fur, sending droplets flying everywhere. "So, does this mean we're heroes?" he asked, puffing out his chest just a little. Rina laughed, a sound as clear and happy as the restored stream. "Yes, Siggy," she said, nuzzling him gently. "We're heroes of harmony." And from that day on, whenever the river whispered its soft, gentle song, the animals of Willowwish Woods would listen closely. And sometimes, if they were very quiet, they could hear a special melody woven within its tuna song that remembered the four friends who brought the true magic back to the Silversong stream. Thank you for joining us for tonight's story. We hope it filled your dreams with magic and light. Be sure to subscribe for more adventures from Yellaw Story Time. Good night.